Hey YouTube, it's Faye, and for today's video, I'm going to be installing this third brake light on my 2023 Toyota Supra. Now this is actually going to replace on the rear bumper the reverse light, the factory reverse light, which is only a reverse light. It just has a bunch of little white LEDs in there. This not only looks awesome, there's like 4 different color combinations I think you can choose, and I went with the red ring and the smoked lens here, just 'cause I thought it would match my car really, really well. And it will still have the factory reverse light with little white LEDs you can see all the way around here. Here it has a red LED ring, which is gonna match the rear taillights perfectly, and it's gonna illuminate not only when just the regular running lights are on, but it's also gonna act as a third brake light and flash a little warning when I hit the brakes. Just a quick look at the before. Here's the part we're gonna be replacing. And as you can see, I mean, it's a nice looking piece, but all we have in here are these little white LEDs, and that only turns on for the reverse lights. So we're gonna start by taking off the bumper, and let's get this installed.
Tools that I use to do this job: magnetic tray, always handy, T20 Torx bit, a pocket screwdriver, my little 1/4-inch drive ratchet with an 8mm socket on it, and I also used this medium-sized wobbly extension, also a couple flashlights, a 90-degree pick, an 8mm ratcheting wrench, one of these little plastic trim tools, a little mirror just for seeing some electrical connectors behind the bumper, a pair of pliers that are flat, a pair of snips, a couple little teeny tiny zip ties, dielectric grease, and electrical tape.
So we're gonna start by removing these little side garnishes. There's 2 clips up here and then 2 little feet that sort of slide into position down here. So I'm gonna put my fingers up here, pop these up, and then the whole thing will slide up. And then there's one last little clip right here.
And that gives us access to these 2 little T20 screws.
Then inside each one of the wheel wells, we have these 3 little 8mm screws. So I've got my little 8mm ratcheting wrench. And of course you're gonna wanna repeat that on the other side. Now that we've got these 3, our next one's a little bit tricky. It's gonna be up underneath here, and it's what attaches the bumper cover to the body. So you're gonna pull back the undercarriage liner here, and it's right there behind this reinforcement. I've just got a little 8mm socket on a long wobbly extension. Don't worry about keeping track of these little black screws, by the way, because every single one is gonna be the exact same length, so they're all interchangeable. And then of course we have the same thing on the other side. Oops.
On the underside of the bumper, we have 4 little screws. We have one here, one here, one here, and one here. Underneath the car here, you can see that there are these little tabs right here, and those need to go in and out. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Okay.
So now that all the hardware is undone, we're pretty much just gonna be unclipping the bumper from the body. And you can see here that I have a cardboard box with a little blanket over it, a little microfiber blanket, so that I can just flop the bumper on top of that, and I don't have to have it all the way on the ground or rubbing on the concrete or anything like that. So now it's just a matter of knowing where all those tabs are that hold the bumper cover onto the bumper itself. Now I have a little bit of Toyota technician privilege. This is TIS, or Toyota Information Systems. So you can see right here, just have it on my phone, and it shows where those tabs are located underneath the bumper cover. I like to look it up beforehand so I know where to pull and in what general direction. So
force it, so it's not, it doesn't want to come right there. There we go. Okay, perfect. There we go, my goodness. All right, and there's a bunch of sensors in here. So there's 3 little electrical connectors inside of here that I'm going to undo just for the license plate lights. So 1, got 2, and then this center one here is for that reverse camera. And the camera has a little bit of a funky connector. Okay, so see with those top 3 connectors undone, I can pull this back now and I have perfect access to this little reverse light. So here you see our little electrical connector we need to undo, and there in my mirror you can see that little red tab that we've got to undo. So I've just got my little 90-degree pick here, and then we can push in and pull it out. And now from here we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 8mm screws. Here is my OEM reverse light. You can see just a series of those little clear bulbs. I'm gonna set this aside though. I definitely don't wanna lose this because just in case I ever wanna put it back to stock. And then here is the new one. And I think this is going to look really, really good. Look at that, so shiny. And you can see how this ring, this red ring, really does mimic the tail lights. And then of course it's like this dark smoky black, so it's gonna look really, really good in the black bumper. I think that's just meant to be, but all right. Let's not get too excited here. Let's go ahead and install it. And it's a pretty straightforward install. It just goes in the exact same location. It's the same shape as the old one. Just go ahead and get all these started by hand. Same hardware, so same tool. My 8mm socket. Obviously you don't want to tighten too much because it is plastic going into plastic, which is why I prefer hand tools for this job. Also, it's a lazy Sunday and I'm not in any rush. Got nothing else going on today, so what a luxury. Of course I say that, but I really have a million things I could be doing. So now for the reverse light portion. To make the reverse light work, all I'm doing is plugging back in this electrical connector and then push that little red tab down. But what about the running lights and the brake lights, you ask? You have a little red wire and a little green wire. They definitely make these long enough, wow. So here we have the taillight harness for the driver's side, although you can either use the driver or passenger side harness. And I'm just gonna pull up some of this. I already cut it just to give myself a little heads up and then realized you guys probably wanna see this. So just gonna pull this tape up a little bit so you can see what's going on here. We have 2 separate harnesses, right? This one's clearly for the tail light because it's going up into the tail light. And we have 3 wires here. We have a blue and green, we have a brown, and we have a purple and white. So this green wire here with the blue stripe, this is our brake signal. And then this purple wire with the white stripe here, that's our running light signal. And I gave myself enough room here. I pulled enough of this electrical tape back so that I'll be able to access both of these with a vampire clip. You don't want them stacked on top of one another. You want them spaced out. This comes in the kit. We have 2 of them and then a little zip tie. Okay, so here's our first one. We're just gonna wrap this guy around our blue and green wire. And I got my little flat pliers. Just make sure that's installed really well. And our second one is our purple and white. So there we go. I've just got some dielectric grease here just to prevent any water intrusion. And they provided more than enough harness for us to route this pretty much however we want, but that's not necessary. So this one right here is our brake light. So we're gonna go ahead and plug in. And then the green is for our parking lights. So we'll plug that one in. And really the biggest thing with this sort of crimps is just making sure that no water gets in, so there's no corrosion in the wires, which can increase resistance in the wires or ohms, and that can be problematic. So we're just gonna put some extra dielectric grease around there. Got a little bit more electrical tape here. I'm following the instructions to a T, but I'm sure that there's still gonna be comments about the vampire clips, but you know what? Can't please everybody, and the designers of this kit thought it was okay, so we shall see. All right, so there we go. And then just rerouting it and putting it back where it was before. We have a lot of extra wire, so I'm just gonna clean this all up. So now that I have that installed, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in these 3 electrical connectors. This one for the reverse camera, and these 2 for my license plate lights. And then I'm just gonna set the bumper back into place. I'm not gonna reattach anything yet until I verify that my third brake light functions the way it's supposed to. Oh my gosh, look at that. I already love the way that it looks. Here in the instructions, which you can access by, there's a little sticker with a QR code on the back side of this piece, and that brought up these instructions. So we've got the actions here, and then the expected result. So I'm gonna go through every single one of these and just verify that it works the way that it should before I put everything back together. Park button right there. Roadside parking lamps on. Yep. All right, well now we know that all those functions work the way that they should. I'm gonna go ahead and install the bumper. The installation is just the reverse of removal, so I'm not gonna bore you with that part, but if you'd like to double check yourself, you can just go back to the video and make sure you hit every single one of those little 8mm screws. And I'm so stoked to see this back together, the car on the ground, and maybe after the sun has gone down so I can see really how that third brake light ties in with the OEM taillights. I think it's really gonna bring the whole rear end of the car together. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments, do you like this modification? Would you do this modification? And if you hate vampire clamps, don't tell me in the comments because I don't care. I mean, nah, it's fine. You can tell me. I'll just ignore you. All right, thanks so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.